Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mormon Wives Season 2. We are now getting into basically the last half of the series. Let's see how it progresses. There's also a special reunion at the end, which I will also be reviewing, so you can look forward to that. With that said, my name is Brittany Simon. We do philosophy through pop culture. So, of course, we're using real people's stories to learn more about our life. These are content creators. They are real people. And though shows like this are edited and made to be more entertainment than truth, it also does encompass like real people's lives. So let's be kind and compassionate. And yes, we can voice our opinions and our frustrations with these people and characters, but also let's remember to keep it here on this channel in this comment section and not go over there and bother them in their space, because again, we're just here to review them to learn more about our lives. All right, let's get started.
There's never enough tension to not do a TikTok together.
I think the rule is that if you willingly left Mom Talk, there needs to be like an initiation process coming back.
Okay. Should we take a vote?
I think everyone deserves a shot.
I feel like we made a lot of strides. With that being said, I do know that there's a lot of tension here. Okay, then no for now. Because there's so much contention in the group, I feel like it'll take some time.
Okay, so a lot just happened in that opening. The girls are finishing up their trip, the pickleball trip. They're heading home. They're doing TikToks together. It's weird to see them have so much tension and then be like, let's film a TikTok. Girl, I don't know if it's just because I'm autistic, but the group dynamics of that is just so uncomfortable for me. I could not, but I mean, work is work, money is money. I guess it's a job, right? I mean, if you have to fake it with a coworker, you have to fake it with a coworker. But I always saw content creation as a form of liberation away from that. But I guess if you want to get big enough and make a lot of money, you know, then I guess you gotta turn it into a job again and go back to that. Whitney asked if she was back in Mom Talk, so they took a vote. And so far the vote is no. And I think the girls made a really good decision because it's just too tense. I don't think right now is the right time to invite her officially back in. But I think, you know, if they head in the direction of healing, it will be okay. Like, I'm a little confused on what being back in Mom Talk means if Michaela said she's never gonna want to be friends with Whitney again. So what does it really matter if Whitney's showing up for the TikToks and for the group events, right? I feel like she already is kind of back in Mom Talk, because she said if Michaela voted me in, then everybody would have voted me back in. Because Michaela won't, nobody else is voting me back in. But what would it matter if Michaela said yes? What would change? You're already in the TikToks. You're already at the trips. I don't get it. I don't get the difference. Do you guys know what the difference is?
I want so bad for this to work out for me and Brett because I'm so in love with him. I want to know what it's like to do all the things with him. And what our DNA would look like together and what we would create.
Still doesn't work, and he gets his surgery and it still doesn't work. Like, who is the problem?
Okay, so Demi and Jesse are kind of preparing for some party stuff and talking about pregnancy. And there's just a line here that I'm not comfortable with, which is this idea that, you know, if Brett gets his surgery for his varicose vein, which is blocking sperm, and she gets her surgery for the endometriosis, and it still doesn't work, like they don't get pregnant, Jesse asks, well, whose fault is it then? Nobody's. Why are we blaming people for not getting pregnant? Why are we putting the blame on ourselves? This is the part of society that I think we should deconstruct and get rid of. It's no one's fault that your body isn't maintaining a pregnancy unless you are doing something to deliberately stop the pregnancy. This is just a part of being a biological creature on Earth. Like, you're an evolved animal over millions of years. And I know this group of people don't believe that. They think they're here because God put them here. But, you know, blaming yourself for not getting pregnant, like, we need to do away with that narrative.
Sometimes he like comes over and we have sex and he goes home and yeah.
I feel like you guys still being intimate like that, does it mess with your feelings?
I don't think it helps. I enjoy it, but I don't think it helps.
Humans are so messy. We're so messy. Taylor and Dakota are still doing it. They're co-parenting. They're taking a step back to think about themselves, but also they're doing it. You know, the chemistry's there. The distraction is there. They're still not done. And what are you gonna do? I can't, you know, they're into each other. They can't separate themselves yet. They can't do it. You can't do it till you can do it. I always say this to I say this to myself. I say this to my girls, my gays, my theys. If you're back and forth with someone, if you're on again and off again, you won't be done until you're done. And when you're done, you have to become a different person, different than the person you were when you were with that person. And I know from lived experience, that's how it was for me. So let's say this color is going to represent you and how you've changed. So you're this person. And when you're this person, you got with this person. Okay. And you and this person have been going along and, you know, it's kind of meh and you guys are definitely changing. But you notice that like you're really starting to change, okay? And as you really start to change, you eventually become this person who can't even be with this person anymore. But this person doesn't change, okay? So then they're confused on why you can't be with them, because to them, you're the same person. But to you, you know you've changed, right? You know you're a different person, okay? But until you're this person, you can't actually break it off, okay? And what happens is most people actually don't really change. So they keep being the same person they are while hoping they'll change. And this person, you know, you guys kind of are on the same path. But until your paths literally deviate because you've changed into a different person, right? Like nothing's going to change. But it's so normal and natural. Like it's really hard to be a different person. I think we probably underestimate greatly how difficult it is to be a different person. And we wonder why the world doesn't change as much or why it's hard to break generational curses, because we're biological creatures and we're animals and we're attracted to each other. And there's, you know, sexual compatibility, and it distracts us and confuses us. And that's why it takes a great amount of discipline to be introspective enough not to repeat cycles. Like it's hard when it's all you've known. It's hard when you grow up dysfunctional, and everyone grows up on a spectrum of dysfunctionality, but it's just difficult. So I don't really blame Dakota and Taylor. It's not healthy. I'm not excited for it, but I'm not like surprised. It's just very human. I think I actually would have been more surprised if either of them were disciplined enough not to keep doing this. That actually would have been actually surprising.
Cam and I were supposed to host Friendsgiving together, and we got in a really bad fight a couple of days ago. Now I don't know if he's going to come to Friendsgiving at all, which really sucks because everyone else is going to have their significant others there. I feel like I'm constantly going to all of these events alone. Even though I'm not in the best place with Jen right now and some of the girls aren't, I'm a super big believer in giving people second chances. No matter what, this group can never be all together without some type of drama.
Okay, so I'm a little confused about some stuff. Layla's having a Friendsgiving party. Her partner Cam isn't gonna possibly show up because they had a fight. But she also said she invited Whitney, which is cool, and Jen, which I'm confused about. She did want to invite Jen initially because she said if she's going through something, she doesn't want it to like bring down the room, which is fair, but also it might be overwhelming for Jen. But also, isn't Jen out of the show? Or I guess I'm confused about the linear timeline of the filming, because why would you invite Jen when Jen's taking a break from Mom Talk? So a little confused on the timing of this whole situation, but I guess we'll see what happens. They also said that drama follows this group and they can't seem to escape it, probably because it's because of the people in the group, but here we are.
I don't know if it stems from that or just like me genuinely triggering her, like my success triggering her. And I don't know if she would ever admit that.
She will never admit that to you.
Oh, so now they're saying Taylor might be triggered that Demi's more successful than her. I think Taylor's just going through it because she doesn't understand. She's probably fighting a bunch of things, right? Getting dethroned as the queen of Mom Talk to some extent. Her relationship being bad, her on again, off again with Dakota, but yet Brett and Demi seem happy. She's also suspicious of Demi because the producers, I think, are creating a storyline to make Demi the new bad guy. But it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I think like in many ways, I think what really grosses me out about this bubble is just how badly everybody talks about each other. Like, it just feels really mean. Like, everyone's just really mean. Like, this is a mean conversation to an extent. Like, it's one thing to say it and to have the conversation, but it's no one's actually getting down to the depths of like what's really happening. And so then it just becomes really like, I don't know. I'm all about, I think gossip can be really healthy, but there's not like, this doesn't just feel like gossip to me. This feels a little mean in a way that I'm like, okay, your gossip doesn't have to be mean, even if it's factual. Even if you're like, I can't believe she did that. I can't believe she did that. It doesn't have to be malicious. And I don't know why sometimes I feel like the girls are just like a little too mean.
It's an anonymous, tip. Those kind of things piss me off. But
yeah, well, you've also dealt with it for a long time. Truth always reveals itself.
Brett and Demi are having conversations. They're at like a cake shop or whatever, a bake shop, and they're just saying, he's saying it's not real. He's saying the rumor that he cheated is not real. Demi is saying in the past, the rumor around Brett was that he was in rehab, that he had cheated on his previous partner, but she's saying the truth came out and that actually wasn't true. I'm a little confused on what the truth was and what the receipts were, but that's interesting.
I need to worry less about optics. I think that's kind of like my Achilles heel.
Yeah.
That
you need to figure that what that is within you, because that, like, I want to completely understand you, that I don't get. I don't understand why something that's not true would bother you so deeply.
Interesting. Things that are not true about people can bother you deep. I mean, as a YouTuber, people say stuff about me that is not true all the time. And it took me a long time not to be bothered by it. I think like we just want people to judge us for the real us. And it feels horrible when people create like a lie about you, because that's the only way they can judge you is like to lie about you. It feels bad. I don't think that's wrong for it to feel bad. I think eventually, though, you do learn to not care about it to some extent, but I think it's okay for you to be bothered by it, especially initially. It took me a while to start to realize like this was the price of being better at my job. Like the price of being a successful YouTuber is like people will lie about you in the same way that like, you know, you do like people do about celebrities or anybody else. Cause like at the end of the day, we're public figures. Like as much as it feels weird to say that because I feel like such a normal person. At the end of the day, like I'm just some strange girl on the internet to people. They're going to make whole videos dedicated to like things that aren't true about me. But that's the name of the game. It does suck though. I think it's weird to say that it doesn't suck. I think it's fair that Brett feels a way about something that might not be true. It's interesting that Demi doesn't get it though.
I know who I am. I know the truth.
Yeah.
And
Does it bother you ever?
does what bother me?
Just the anonymous attacks or the random attacks. Like, does it ever get under your skin or bother you in any way?
I think ketamine helped me a lot with that.
Yeah.
Maybe your 40th session, you'll get there.
Yeah, so basically there's like a disconnect with their ability to really understand. But maybe it's because Demi is also like a main character and she knows it's a part of the sacrifice in order, I hate to use that word, part of the exchange to remain famous. But Brett's not famous. Demi is. So it's kind of like maybe it's something like that, internet famous, you know, but you know what I mean.
And his sister being married to Larry King.
What?
He was accused.
His sister is married to Larry King? Are all these people Nepo babies? He was accused of cheating on his ex-wife. That never happened. Okay, what? Wait, so Brett is in the kind of celebrity bubble, but like doesn't like it. His sister is married to Larry King.
Accused of cheating on his ex-wife, which that never happened. The over-explaining and like, it's like, I don't know what it is with you, but it's literally last night too, with you being like, we love each other, right? Yeah, no shit.
So Brett is really bothered by the accusation of cheating, and Demi is bothered that he keeps bringing it up. It feels like Demi is almost like coping in denial and not really understanding the depth of why this bothers Brett, but also is it bothering Brett because he cheated, or is it bothering Brett because rumors can start to make people really doubt themselves? I don't know. I think that's the thing is like, I can't tell who's coping more between the two of them. Oh, cameras went down, but audio kept rolling.
I want to know who said that because I want to go after them.
You're getting like worked up.
It pisses me off. You know that I didn't do that. I would never do that in a million years.
The way you're reacting is a little bit confusing.
Well,
if I'm guilty, this is how I'm acting.
Okay, that was so weird. So the cameras went down, but the audio kept rolling. And basically, yeah, it's this whole like you're acting guilty. And I think he's looking for reassurance. And I think she's not giving it to him because she's like, yeah, we have nothing to worry about. We don't have to talk about it. And he's like, no, but I want to talk about it because it makes me feel a way. And I think this is, yeah.
Is Jen going?
I have no idea.
I have been continuously pouring energy into her and making sure she's okay, and I never get that in return. So I feel like it's okay for me now to maybe take a step back and wait for that reciprocation on her end.
Ooh, actually, wait, there is something to be said. So you remember how Jen kept saying, no one's reaching out to me, no one's looking to help me, da 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 da. But then the girls are like, we did reach out to you, you didn't return our messages. That's another reason that I'm confused about this relationship dynamic. So Michaela is basically saying like, look, I haven't really reached out to Jen because every time I did in the past, like it was never returned. And so that's the dilemma. It's like a village isn't something you take resources from. A village is something you utilize in an emergency, and the village gives back to you in the same way you give back to the village. Like you have to pour into the village what the village returns, like gives to you. It's a symbiotic relationship. We work together. Like you can't just take from the village. And right now, all the girls are saying that Jen has only taken from the village. So, you know, it's hard because they're also toxic to know like who's most accurate, but I can see why some of them would be hesitant to reach out and help her. Honestly, I think like Jen should figure out who her village is, and those correct people should reach out to her. And it's probably not the girls in Mom Talk. Maybe she has like cousins or family members. Like Mormons have this stereotype of having such a big family. Where are all her cousins? Where are all her siblings? What does she have accessible to her? Where's like your family, you know?
I've asked Zach to come over here today because I'm starting to get really worried about Jen.
Jen likes to put on like a facade that she's always happy and that everything's always okay. And no one else really gets to see the truth besides me when she comes home. And I kind of want to leave it to her to share what she feels comfortable sharing. I mean, just to be honest with you, like she cries like every day and it's 90% related to the girls. Some of these girls are so quick and willing to talk bad about Jen, to expose her, even get online and like make petty TikToks about her.
Yeah, ew, gross. It's so toxic. Yeah, it's just so toxic, you know? Yeah, it's hard to even know, like, if everybody is toxic, then it's kind of like our job to step away and just say like, okay, this is not how you engage. Like, obviously, I don't know how real any of these friendships are or how authentic anything is, but obviously like Jen and Whitney and Miranda should not be working this hard to be a part of this group. And in some ways, I wish Mom Talk would end in a sense. Like, I wish this whole thing would end sometimes.
I feel pretty defensive of my wife because I do think she, for the most part, has honestly really good intentions and has a pure heart. But the reality is, like, these girls can't trust each other.
Definitely. I definitely think the girls are constantly unreliable to each other. Even the girls that are, quote, close to each other, like, there's an unreliability there.
I'll be honest, I think they are some of the biggest gaslighters that exist.
Ooh, now Zach is calling the girls gaslighters as if we're all going to ignore like the way Zach handled things in season 1.
I think Demi and Brett specifically, they have more skeletons in their closet and more, honestly, crap to get exposed that they don't want to share their true story. If they can flip that narrative and talk badly about Jen or turn it back on her or make her look crazy, it covers them up.
What the F is happening? Now Zach is claiming that Demi and Brett have skeletons in their closet and we're just trying to focus on Jen so we don't know. Is that true? Is this whole series setting us up to find out another couple in Mom Talk is about to get divorced because there's like a cheating scandal?
Does Jen know their skeletons? Because like, is that why they're going after
quite a few of them.
What did she?
See, but Jen does this thing where she says, I know you have stuff about your marriage, but then when she shares it, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. So now I'm doubting it. Like she said, what happened in Italy or whatever. Okay, but that like wasn't that big of a deal. So why are you acting like it's a big deal? I don't know.
Find out about.
No, she's talking about the cheating thing, right? You know what I mean? Is that the big thing that she knows? But she doesn't know that. Let's see.
Tell us. You don't need to tell us if you don't want to.
A reoccurring theme for me is when I get involved, it causes Jen more issues.
Yeah.
And I will just say this. Apparently Demi is going out of her way to get a cease and desist.
Her flirting with a guy or something. I don't know. I don't know the whole story. That's all I know.
Oh my God, this seems so silly. Is there something going on or not? Otherwise, you're just like, this is gossip. Bad gossip. Okay, healthy gossip, bad gossip. Bad gossip is creating something out of nothing. Good gossip is talking about matter-of-fact things in a way that's constructive. This is not constructive. We've seen the video. The producers have showed us clips. As far as we know, there was nothing that really went on. So I don't know why we're making a mountain out of a molehill. Maybe this is how the show is supposed to set us up, but I don't know. So far, with the way the edit has shown us, it feels like there's no reason for these people to be acting this way.
Not gonna lie, like kind of makes me a little suspicious. Like, did something really serious happen there that you don't want Jen to talk about? Like
a cease and desist to Jen or to somebody else?
Like if you need to go to that extent to cover up your own shit, you've probably messed up.
Maybe the point of the show is to show us that all of them are just as bad.
Things weren't great between us for the last couple months. It was hard to just go every day and just be unsure about if you love me or not. I think that I was super insecure, which I've never ever been like that in a relationship. And so the stress just added up and then I just kind of broke.
It's something that I do a lot in a lot of my relationships, and it's something that I wasn't super aware of, and that's not an excuse, but I think I'm still super unhealed from my relationship with Clay.
People's like words to me and like saying that they love me and that they care about me and they want to be with me, because I feel like just everyone ends up leaving me in the end.
So Layla's going through some abandonment issues. And I think this is the really difficult part about settling culture. So we're going to kind of zoom out a little bit. When you're going through abandonment problems and you hear something like this, if you're in the wrong relationship, you want to comfort someone like Layla because she deserves to be loved, right? The dilemma is that if you're not with your high compatibility partner, they're eventually going to leave because you're probably not going to settle into an unhappy marriage. And a lot of settling relationships, I mean, look at the divorce rate. None of us are happy in those relationships. And I think until you are able to be alone and secure and not feel abandoned and not feel like everybody leaves you, you're going to bring that into every relationship. Because like when you're dating, you're allowed to break up. You know, unless you're in a committed, we're doing life together relationship, the point of dating is to see if you want to get to that point. And since I think they are, it feels almost unfair the way we do dating culture. And I know because I did it myself in my 20s. You move in with people, you say, I love you, you plan a wedding that's never going to happen. You talk to family and friends, you meet the families. It's like you do all the serious things to decide if you want to be together versus entering the conversation so seriously that it's leading towards that direction. And I mean this like as a secular person, not even as a religious person. What are the chances Cam and Layla are high compatibility partners? Probably not very much. What are the chances they're like settling for one another because they feel like they're in love? Probably pretty high because that's what most people are doing. But that doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they're trained by a culture that has trained them to fall in love this way. I mean, how many people in Mom Talk have been divorced? It's so a part of the culture, but we do it again and again and again because we're not healing. And then we're entering into relationships expecting the relationship to heal our trauma instead of healing our trauma so we can find the healthy relationship. The best thing I ever did was go to therapy, do philosophy work, and make sure I knew who I was. So when I found my high compatibility partner, I'd be ready to love them and not bring the burden of my traumas into the relationship that come at the cost of the relationship. And again, I think a big part of having a healthy relationship is that we can have traumas and things we're still working on, because obviously, but we know what we're doing with them. So we know not to take them out on our partner. We know not to punish our partner. I don't think Layla's a bad person because she's unhealed. I just think you have to be a certain level of healthy and a certain level of capable and educated to really sustain a 70-year marriage. Layla's 23 years old. She's so young. I know she said she doesn't want to be single and go to these parties, but I wish she would let herself be single and fulfilled in a sense, a little bit. I would love to see that for all the girls, not to be so defined by being in a relationship. Same with Taylor. I would love to see Taylor take some time on her own to really have a good relationship with herself so she doesn't end up with Dakota, but here we are.
I really promise I'm going to be better.
Oop, she said, I promise I'm going to be better now. A recommendation is not to overpromise because I think when we're in the healing process, we make a lot of promises that we don't know we can keep. Maybe tell Cam, I'm working on it. I can't guarantee an outcome because I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'm hoping to improve. And this allows a deeper understanding of you can't fix yourself overnight. It could take years. And so he's going to have to prepare himself for that because sometimes when we promise like I'll be better, it makes it sound like you're going to be better tomorrow. And it just doesn't work that way.
Still love you. That never changed for even 1 second.
And just because you love somebody doesn't mean they're your high compatibility partner. And even if they're your high compatibility partner, it doesn't technically mean you should be with them, but it kind of would be weird not to be. But like most people you meet, most people you fall in love with are not the person who's going to do 70 years with you.
I have to open up after my divorce and the things that happened with my childhood, but it's something that I'm going to have to do if I don't want to be alone forever.
She said, I'm going to have to open up about my traumas if I don't want to be alone forever. Philosophically speaking, falling in love is not the priority. Having a relationship with self is. We want to deconstruct our life to discern what is the best for our joy. So I know earlier I said that I'd love to see her heal, to fall in love with the right person, but the point of healing is to realize you might not meet that person, that there is a good chance that you might never run into that human being. But once you accept that, it makes it easier to not settle and to wait for the right person and to notice them when they come along.
I'm just really grateful that Cam is willing to work on this relationship and really excited that he's going to be at Friendsgiving.
I'm not with you, but yet here I am with you.
So Dakota's basically saying that Taylor's the one leading him on, that Taylor's the one who keeps coming over. And yeah, probably, right? Like I'm not shocked about that. I think that makes a lot of sense, right? With Dakota's personality and the way that it is, it feels like he's making it easy for her to come over, but it makes it sound like Taylor is the one making that decision. Taylor's more toppy in the relationship. So of course she's the one coming over, but that's the point. Neither of them are disciplined enough to put down a real boundary and stick to it. And that's why I say boundaries have to be part of your values. Boundaries have to be something you deeply believe in. So when you put them into place, you don't go against the boundary because, like it wouldn't make sense.
I've tried to have it a few times. It just always comes back to Taylor bringing up Jenna.
So Dakota says, I don't want my relationship to be a joke. And then his friend was like, have you brought that up to Taylor? And basically he's saying Taylor always brings up Jenna again, so him cheating. But that's the problem. Trust can't be built in this relationship. This relationship was built on a rocky foundation. It's over. That's why you have to start over new. You're never going to trust this man again, right? Like, you're never going to do it. And he's never going to be the kind of man, because like, there's no respect here. There's no dignity. He is not a victim to having sex with Taylor. If you don't want to have sex with her and you think it's unhealthy for her, stop. But he thinks if they keep having sex, they'll be together. That's why he doesn't mind her coming over. He's trying to put the responsibility on her, saying Taylor's the one who keeps coming over. You're the one who keeps letting her in. Both of you need to stop. One of you needs to put your foot down and say no more. Because that's why I say it takes two to be in a toxic relationship. Maybe one person is more abusive or toxic in those kinds of dynamics. But if it's a toxic relationship, which I think they have, then the toxicity is like, it takes two.
In my eyes, it's simple. It's like, I want her to just decide. It's like, if you want this, let's do this.
See, he wants Taylor to make the decision. You make the decision. But the problem is he thinks the decision he would make is Taylor. But you didn't make that decision initially. We would never be in this position if you didn't have the Jenna situation happen. But this whole relationship is ruined because of what Dakota did.
As much as I want to talk to Demi about the cease and desist, Zach told Connor and I about that in confidence, and I really want to respect that. It's hard because Jen needs mom talk more than ever, but I just don't really know who to trust with this information.
Nobody. It's no one's business, Whitney. The girls are out there, little Friendsgiving. Everyone's doing like, they did a whole like, rate the food, and the husbands voted and da-da-da-da. That stuff's not important. What's important is they're talking about Jen and the fact she's sick and she can't come because she's really pregnant. But when he's like, who can I trust this information with? Nobody. The fact that she's even thinking about who can I share this info with? Like, first of all, we all know. So actually, I guess we know. See, that's the problem with this show. Things that are should be said in confidence are being aired to people on television. You know what I mean? I think that's why that is why. I guess because the psychology is everyone's going to see it anyways. We can go around telling people's information, but in a regular situation where nobody was recording, like they're just some things you keep private. I guess that's the danger of putting everything on the internet or everything out in the open, is like, that's not how anyone should be living their life. There should just be things that are private, things that are family dynamics, like your family's problems, you keep private, you figure it out. Your family, your friends, like because and I have this whole podcast I want to make about this because I saw a TikTok about this. We were like, mob justice is never good. And also, we were never meant to make so many mistakes publicly. Like, we were meant to make enough mistakes privately to deal with it. But also, maybe the issue is because we were so secretive and people were hiding really bad things in their families. Maybe in a way, it feels freeing to put it all on the table because we're so used to our families pretending the problems don't exist. So maybe putting everything out in the open feels like liberation. But I'm not convinced it's healthy. This just feels so unhealthy to me. So maybe it's a balance between keeping things private and healthy and sharing the right amount of information in public in order to seek justice, something like that.
If I heard that about my partner, it would make me like spiral.
Like, where we're at now is so solid. And I also I'm with him 24/7. Like, he would have to be so sly and so crafty to pull something like that.
I'm honestly regretting sharing this one about Brett because it keeps getting brought up.
They're talking about the cheating possibility. I think Macy needs to make a smarter decision about what she shares, because the internet's a bad place. They want to see you guys be dramatic. Like, imagine a viewer is watching season 1 and was like, I can ruin these women's lives. Like, you never heard of a troll on the internet? If it is fake, it's a troll. If it's not fake, then I get it. But that's the thing with the internet. It's like, I think as a YouTuber, we're used to it. Like, you know how many times people are in my comment sections being like, Brittany, I don't know if you heard this, but so-and-so is this. And I will Google, I will research, and there's no receipts. There's no data. It's just a rumor. Like, I'm not interested in rumors. I'm interested in facts.
Well, there's that, and then mine was also true, so.
It's just projection after projection. I actually have a good relationship, and you don't.
Maybe Brett looking quite guilty, but maybe if he didn't cheat, then that is what it is. If he did cheat, Taylor's gonna feel confident, but does Taylor have the data to feel confident? That's the issue. Does Taylor even have the evidence to feel that confident about their relationship being secretly toxic? I can't tell. And I don't know. I can't tell. I mean, Brett has a little bit of a guilty vibe to him, but I don't know if that's just me feeling that way because of the edit. But I don't know.
I'm not saying that's the case here. I'm just saying like her confessions do mean a lot to me now because it's like the one that I blew off was true.
Do you feel like you finally got the whole truth though now?
I have no idea.
Or do you feel like there's nothing you guys can do to earn that trust back?
I mean, it's hard. That's hard after like 2 years. Like, I don't know.
Could you see him being like, I really feel bad about this. I really messed up. I really I'm glad I got the second chance. I feel like it's quite the opposite.
Yeah, like Taylor's talking about Dakota giving her an ultimatum. Like, pick me or it's over. But like, is he doing the work? Like, is he actually understanding what he did was like actually bad? I don't know.
I feel like I fight my mind with my heart because I don't know if I can trust again. So my mind logically, big picture says this doesn't work. It's not working. It's never going to work. I don't deserve someone who does that. My heart wants it to work.
What you have to do is understand the logic, but embody the logic. Until you embody the logic, you're going to keep going back. I used to do this when I would off again with my previous partner. And when we were off, I was like, logic, girl boss, feminism. I would be like, I'm healed. I've been to therapy. I got this. But I did embody it. And then one day when we were on again and we were fighting, it was like a switch happened in my body. Like my logic, it's almost like it filtered down and it entered my body. Like I finally felt it where I was like, oh, this is never going to get better. Like he is always going to be this person. Like he's never going to go to therapy. He is never going to be introspective. Like he is never not going to be toxic or abusive. And this is what my life will be like if I marry this person. And then I finally blocked and I never called him back. And that was it. Boom, bada bing, bada boom. Bye. You know what I'm saying? Like, but until the logic seeped down into my body and it really became like a deeply held belief, a deeply held boundary, I was always, going back and forth. So I totally get what Taylor's saying. It really is like you're battling parts of yourself.
But the very first question that you have to ask yourself is, do you want this? And that's what Taylor needs to ask herself.
So Connor and Whitney are talking about how Connor was given a second chance and it meant everything to him because he was experiencing infidelity, like he cheated on Whitney. Yeah, you get to make your own decisions, guys. Everyone's an adult.
I was given a second chance and I don't feel like I deserved it. I'm grateful, but it's hard being in the position of being rewarded a second chance and telling people that a second chance is not a road that I would recommend. It was hard. You got to think long and hard about this because it was like a forger's fire. I know that this is a hard decision to make.
Well, everyone's being very supportive to Taylor, which I really appreciate actually. And I will say Dr. Kirkonda talks about this. He's a YouTuber, if you guys don't know who he is, and a psychologist. And he says that he works with a lot of couples who experience infidelity, and infidelity is a lot more common than we think it is, but people do make it work after infidelity. I was never that person. I don't think I'm in that category. I've never cheated. I'm not interested in it. I don't think infidelity is something that my category of person could ever come back from. I just think it's such a sacred violation. And so I don't think I could ever understand it, but couples do come back from it. People do heal from it. So maybe talk to a family therapist, maybe talk to somebody to help you, because I guess Whitney and Connor are an example of like making it work, but I don't think I'm the kind of person that could come back from something like that. Like I tried. I 100% tried, right? Like I was cheated on. I tried. We tried to make it work. It was an indication of this person's character. It wasn't a one-off. It was just another part of their personality. And that's the difficulty. Is this a mistake you made or is this a part of your character? And for me, I was dating somebody who was a part of their character. And that's the question. I'm not saying once a cheater, always a cheater. I just think for some people, once dishonest, often dishonest, but not always. Right? I think we've all lied in our life. So maybe there's a conversation to be had about why you did it and what it meant to you and where was the temptation and why it happened. But yeah, I think that's the hardest part. Is this an indication of character? And if it is, that's how it's going to be the rest of your life together.
I know that you're feeling everything. And all that matters right now is you trying to find that peace in your life. It's worth finding that peace. So whatever it takes, just do what you gotta do.
I really appreciate so beautiful.
I'm about to cry.
As much as I want to talk to Taylor and I do want to clear the air, I'm seeing that like
clearly this all hasn't been about me. This has been about Taylor.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, good job, guys. Everybody was really like, so this was really cathartic and healthier and better. And I'm glad Demi realized, like, okay, Taylor isn't just lashing out at me because of me. She's lashing out because she's in pain with Dakota, which is what we knew was happening. But at the same time, Taylor is just like wounded, which is why we have to fix, because hurt people hurt people. We got to work on our traumas because we take it out on the people around us, just like with Layla. I've done it definitely, like Taylor, like we don't mean to, but we do. And you know, it's one thing to not mean to the first time. It's one thing to not heal and then keep it up for the rest of your life. Like at some point it's just a part of your personality. You know what I'm saying? It's, again, that's the responsibility we have to be introspective. That's why I focus on philosophical work. This is such a healing episode. The philosophical work we do is because we know we're good people. You know you're a good person, but you can't be a good person and keep hurting people because you won't get better. Good people, we work to get better so we can be good to the people around us. And it's okay if you're in a bad spot. It's okay if you're unhealed. It's okay. You're not a bad person because you're wounded. But if you do not heal, then at some point, there's no way to explain away the pain you will continue to cause for yourself and others, right? And that's the thing. Almost every horrible person in the world I could think of, I could explain to you how they've been traumatized through life that led them to this position. But the thing that makes the difference between those of us who heal and those of us who don't is the healing part. And the healing just allows for so much more kindness and harm reduction in the world, right?
I love you.
Love you. Sorry. For what? I don't know. Being harsh again.
It's okay. I love you. I'm sorry that you're going through all of this.
That's the end of this episode. What a healing episode. I think we're all feeling it. Okay. The title of this episode was The Book of Gratitude, and I am grateful for such a healing episode. Leave your comments in the sections down below. Please like, subscribe, send this to somebody watching the show, and I will see you guys for the next one. Bye-bye.